Welcome to the 2024 facelifted version of the i30 Sedan N, or Elantra N if you're watching from overseas. This takes on the company's latest styling language with an even flatter and lower stance than before, if that's possible. The front end incorporates more sophisticated styling, and lots of horizontal lines to help emphasize width. It also takes on the latest flat badge theme, and in black as per all N models going forward. Along the sides and at the rear is pretty much similar to before, except the bumper bar is revised. More importantly to driving enthusiasts, various tweaks and changes have been made under the skin. The engine mount membrane has been reinforced to reduce vibration, and the electronic adjustable suspension hardware and software has been enhanced to improve body control. Some changes to the steering box are aimed at improving feedback and precision. These lightweight 19-inch forged alloy wheels have been added as standard. They're wrapped in 245/35 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres. As before, these are 10mm wider than those on the hatchback. Inside, it is pretty much the same as before, aside from some technology updates. The wireless phone charger is a bit bigger to accommodate larger phones. Some extra USB-C ports have been added in, and Hyundai's BlueLink connected services is now standard. It's a good sized cabin, with plenty of room for 4 adults, and the driving position is absolutely perfect. You can lower the seat right down if you want to, and the steering wheel falls right at your chest. Rear seat legroom is impressive for this class, and you have climate vents and those extra USB-C ports at hand. It would be nice to see a flip down centre armrest, and perhaps a bit more colour back here. Speaking of colour, it's impossible not to notice the chunky suspension tower brace in the boot. It doesn't really impact boot volume, but it does make it a bit tricky if you want to fold down the rear seat for extra load space. A space saver spare wheel sits under the floor, which is probably okay for a vehicle like this, as it has to fulfill practical and performance demands. No changes have been made under the bonnet for 2024, but that's okay, as this engine is a beauty. Lots of low-end torque for a 2-litre, heaps of power, and a barking exhaust note. What's not to like? We couldn't improve on our previous 0 to 100 times, likely due to warmer weather this time and a tiny bit more weight. One of the biggest differences I'm noticing is the smoothness of the ride. So I can hit reflectors in the middle of the road here. I'll just wait till I get around the corner. And they don't crash and bang. Normally hot hatches, they really crash over the little bumps, but obviously they're much more tensioned when the pressure is turned up in a bit and you're really attacking the corners. But over little bumps, like these little reflector things that are sticking up, they're normally really crashing the whole chassis. But yeah, they've really made some improvements here, so this is much more livable on the road. It's still just as quick. The engine is very flexible, produces good amount of torque low down. You don't need to rev the absolute crap out of it to get the most out of it or have some fun. You can actually upshift a bit early and the torque will pull you through the next gear. But yeah, this road is pretty bumpy, and normally I'd be bouncing all over the place. But out here it's handling just fine, it really is. I do have the suspension in the softest mode, or the softest setting, but I really don't think you need the firm setting unless you're on the track really, and you want to really cut your lap times. But out on a nice winding road like this, the soft setting is still definitely very taut and tensioned, but it doesn't send those, vibrations through the chassis and into your body as you're going around corners and things, hitting bumps. Sticks around. Good amount of traction, so I've got the traction and stability control completely turned off. Now it was full throttle and it didn't spin away the power. It does have a limited slip diff, of course. amazed by the handling now. It's just much more compliant. The wheels are staying firmly planted on the ground, and yet it's not uncomfortable. I'm not being thrown around, and there are no crashes and bangs being sent through the cabin. It's still very flat. There's hardly any body roll at all. I mean, the actual body is very low and flat anyway, so there's not much room. There's nowhere really for it to go. Bit of tug from the steering wheel, which makes it exciting. Yeah, this is definitely a big improvement over the previous model. Not that the previous model was bad, but they've somehow just tweaked it enough to make it more livable on the road, definitely. The steering also feels a bit nicer, I think. I mean, I'd have to drive them both back to back to feel or to really experience the difference, but it does feel quite nice. There's plenty of communication. It feels mechanical. So yeah, I think the little steering adjustments that they've made have also helped. Alright, let's head out now and do the performance test to see what it goes like. To activate the launch control system, it is a bit of a stuff around. You've got to go into the N mode, and then you swipe across, go to performance options, and then you can activate it from here. You've got about 1,000 RPM worth of adjustment, so 2,500 all the way up to 3,500 with 100 RPM increments. I'll test it with at 2,500, 3,000 and 3,500. In my experience, higher RPM is good if you've got really good traction, but then if you don't have very good traction, then bump it down a little bit, maybe to 3,000 or something like that. On this surface, it's not the best. It's a private road and it's just not maintained at all. So I've found in the past the best results with lower RPM. And then you just hit this activate button and it gives you 5 minutes to activation lasts 5 minutes. I don't think there's any need for it to be that complicated to activate. Like Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, you just put your foot hard on the brake, hard on the throttle, and away you go. It'll automatically activate launch control. So if you're coming up to the lights or something and there's some young punk in an i30 N, for example, you want to beat him off the lights, but you don't want to have to dig into all this screen just to activate launch control. I'll give you a kind of live or real-time demonstration and then we'll get stuck into the proper testing. I've got the suspension set on normal just because this surface isn't absolutely glass smooth, and I find softer suspension, it sometimes helps. Front-wheel drives, you got to remember that if they drop down at the back as you're accelerating, that's going to lift the weight off the front. So sometimes having the suspension set hard will sort of force the front onto the ground, if you like. Just in my experience, I've found the normal setting is fine for a road car like this. There is an actual performance timer as well, so we'll run that, but this runs off the speedo and not true speed GPS, but I'll just give you a bit of a demonstration with that. Acceleration ready, hit go on that as well. That's the V-Box ready to go. Details 5.90, but I'll do a few more tests and I'll concentrate a bit more. There's a few different grippier spots on the road back there too where I can try and get a bit of better launch, because I'm sure I can get quicker than that. And we'll try out all the different stages of the revs as well.